This is a road test video for a Lexus LS 430. It's registered M15Ahr. Mileage at the start of this brief road test is 30,513 miles. The reason we do the videos is basically because we're now selling to customers from all over the near continent and the extremes of the UK. And we want people to see the cars in operation prior to coming to see us. So if there's any issues we can tell you about, then we can do so. And we think that's the right way to do it. What I try and do on these videos is to do exactly what you'll do yourself when you come and see the car. Obviously, if you're interested in buying the car, then a test drive is offered. And just to go through it sort of step by step. Obviously, this is this isn't your usual car for lots of reasons. One, this amazing low mileage. Secondly, this is actually my own personal car, so I've taken a great deal of pride in it. I haven't had it for new, obviously, but I bought it because I'm not living very far from work, so fuel economy isn't a major issue to me. And I've always wanted to own one, and I am chuffed to bits I have. It is a remarkable car. I mean, the engine is just wonderful. It's powerful. There's no warning lights on the car at all relating to the engine or anything else for that matter. But the engine is just is an absolute masterpiece. And as an example of one, given the mileage it's done, you'd expect it to drive as it should, and it most certainly does. It's all but silent, and but when it does make a noise, it makes a beautifully crisp V8 sound. The engine runs through this wonderful automatic gearbox, very, very, very smooth shifting, quick to respond. You can drive it in a kind of manual setting, but it just doesn't really it's not something you ever really entertain doing. You just don't need to. It's got so much torque and grunt that it responds quickly enough in virtually any situation. But every gear change I've driven all makes and models of cars, including sort of BMW, Mercedes, that high-end stuff. And in terms of engineering, this is just on a different level. It really is. Steering of the car is, it's got, I can't detect an ounce of wear in it. This is not a sports car. I'm not going to pretend it is. So the steering is set up deliberately to suit the vehicle. So there's you put a fair bit of lock on for sort of relatively small manoeuvres, but that means the transition direction changes are elegant in the way they kind of go about it. It's all designed in. It's brilliantly done. But the whole purpose of the video is to sort of highlight any kind of wear in the vehicle. I could make this quite a short video and say there is none, and effectively there isn't. I can't, through the steering, through suspension, it absolutely glides along. It's obviously set up to be quite soft, and it certainly is. There are different settings for suspension there, sport and normal. I just have it normal the whole time, and that is fine. Obviously it rides on air suspension, but that does also mean that you don't get as much roll through the corners as you may think you're going to get. It does lean over, but I did a lovely trip across France earlier in the summer in the car, and it was a brilliant companion. It really was. But it is. This is obviously designed to be, kind of a constant crosser, and in that respect, it does its job absolutely beautifully. It's very, very, very quiet. There's very little road or wind noise drummed up from the car. The seats are fantastically supportive. Obviously, they're air conditioned and heated seats. They all work absolutely perfectly. But it is an extraordinarily comfortable way to travel. Everyone that's got in the car with me, my kids loved it when we went to Kent, which is a good sort of 3.5-4 hour drive, and you know, unlike any car that we've been in some wonderful cars on that trip. They were literally as fresh as daisy when they got to the far end, you know, notwithstanding the fact that they're in the back. I could hear the seat massager buzzing away in the back there most of the time, because that's, you know, they're kind of playing with that, so that all works perfectly well. So, you know, it's kind of strange to drive a car that's this age that, you know, just drives so well, even though it drives as it should. The fact that, you know, things have moved on technically and dynamically on cars, but it just shows how good this car was at the time of manufacture. But also the fact that, you know, you drive some of the German stuff after a few years, and they do show their age in a totally different way to these things. These, you know, they are built to a very, very different standard to those other vehicles, and that's I'm not deriding them in any way. It's just a simple fact of life. Looking inside the car, I mean, it's typical kind of 90s Japanese styling. It's beautifully built. So there's not a groan or creak anywhere in the vehicle. I like the lighter interior. It really does add a brightness into the car. It's nicely done. Obviously, the big screen sat nav, loads of functions on there. It all works absolutely perfectly. Air conditioning is absolutely ice cold. In fact, almost too cold. I have to put it up a couple of degrees from cold on occasions. We've got these active vents. You can see the vents going from side to side. That all works absolutely perfectly still. Every button I pressed has worked absolutely perfectly. As I said, there's no warning lights on the dashboard at all. The only thing that I've found on this vehicle, and it may just, I don't know, maybe something simple, it may not be, I don't know, but something I'm not going to be attending to it at, you know, this age. Steering wheel telescopes in and out, absolutely perfectly, but it doesn't go up and down for some reason. Now, it could be something's jammed in the back there. I don't honestly know, but I said that, you know, I'm always honest about these things. If there's something I find on the car, I will say. But, you know, that's the only thing that I've picked up on the vehicle at all. I mean, the actual, you know, unless you're 7'3" or 4 foot nothing, it won't affect anybody in any way. I'm sitting here now. You can see all the dials absolutely perfectly. I'm 6 foot, but, you know, but I said that is it as it is. But everything else, as I said, works absolutely superbly. But it's more about the quality of the drive of the car. And as I said, it doesn't matter whether you're driving from 5 miles down the road or you're making sort of a couple of days trip across Europe to come and see the vehicle. Absolutely assure you'll be driving a car or coming to see a car that drives exactly as it should. You know, so sat here now, and it idles absolutely superbly. Pop it into neutral and put it back into drive, and it engages. You can hardly even feel it engage. And again, with an automatic, what you're looking for is, you know, if you put it into drive and there's a delay and then a bit of a thump in your back, it just means that the clutch packs have got wear in them, and that can either mean that they've got wear, but they'll be a bit clunky, or probably at some point you're going to have a very, very, very expensive bill running into many thousands for a transmission overhaul. But this absolutely, as I said, the lack of wear is where this mileage comes into its own. So, you know, if you see one half the price but done 90 or 100,000 miles, then that's what it should be. You know, this is what it is. When I bought it, I think it was about 28,000 miles when I bought the car. It's not missed a beat, as I wouldn't expect it to, and it's been a brilliant companion throughout that time that I've had it. So whoever is lucky enough to buy this car will be buying something very, very rare indeed. You have to be looking at, you know, I don't know what the 460s are making these days, but I'm guessing you're looking at for a 30,000 mile one in excess of £20,000. And obviously you're looking at hybrid technology, which is fantastic and, you know, very worthy. But I must admit, I do prefer, you know, an internal combustion engine, and that's kind of it in my drivetrain if I can get away with it. And certainly when it gets to sort of 20 years old, it does make you wonder how, you know, hybrids and batteries will have stood that test of time. But anyway, that kind of concludes the video. I said I hope it's been of help to you. If I've missed anything out on the video, don't hesitate to give me a call, and I'll answer any questions you've got. But based on, normally I only sort of do 20-30 miles in the car prior to doing these videos to give myself a feel for them. Clearly I've done many thousands of miles in this car, so I can say absolutely hand on heart that everything I said in the video is as it is, and there'll be no hidden horrors. Anything that I've mentioned is what I found on the vehicle. And so the only thing I noticed is just that steering column just not going up and down for some reason, but that is it.